Well, hello, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to our Harmony Power broadcast. What is Harmony Power? It's the Harmony Power Foundation. Stand up to bullying and stand for human equality. And what we like doing is having people on our show that are promoting any form of positivity. Because what I've learned is that when we put that positivity out there, that's how you prevent bullying. That's how you prevent violence in all its forms. And with the holidays that are here right now, it's such a challenging time for a lot of people. So today we're going to talk about the topic of forgiveness and the power of forgiveness and what that means and how do we do it. And so it's just so great to have Grandmaster Jesse Bowen on the show with us. So welcome.
Hey, sir, how are you doing?
Doing awesome. It's I was really touched that you wanted to come back on the show again. And when you told me what you wanted to talk about, I'm like, could be more perfect. So let's talk about it. Like, what is forgiveness to you?
Well, forgiveness is the understanding that there's some type of block that uh, is between you and someone else from allowing the positive energy of love or just a positive energy, something that's happened that you are angry about or you have an opinion about. The other person may not even know that you're angry with them. But it's forgiveness is more than just people. You have to forgive yourself. Now, that's a trap that people are in, that they're not able to move forward. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive your relationships. You have to forgive your failures. So forgiveness is a universal topic. It doesn't just start with you and I, because forgiveness is, that's the reason why a lot of times people are married and they have a bad relationship and they never get married again because they never forgave that situation. Something could have happened in every relationship that they see. There's a trigger word that puts them right back because they didn't let go of the old situation. And when they're triggered, they begin to have those same feelings, and therefore they produce the same outcome.
That's very well said. This topic is, we're going to go places with this word, and we're going to stay focused on this word, because it's a powerful word. When I think about forgiveness, obviously, like you said, you got to forgive yourself. And you say, well, how do we forgive myself? Well, you talk about the Bible. There's so many books out there. And Bible is one main source that, a percentage of the planet follows. If we look at the word a sinner, right? Or we can say a person is flawed if you're not a Christian. Um, Basically, people are making mistakes. Like, without sinning or without making mistakes, there's no human evolution. If we don't learn to fall, we can't get back up. Like, we have to, that's part of the experience. So if we don't forgive that and we don't connect to some source, divine source, we're living in that pain, because first of all, we're being too judgmental on ourselves, and then we're not realizing that we come from some kind of source that created us. And that's the power. And once we make that connection and then allow and surrender to that divine source, and then we can fully forgive, just be free from whatever pain that we caused upon ourselves or caused others, for that matter. And then we're looking at other people and our perception of what they've done. Now, what one person does to someone may not hurt the other person. So there's actual things people can do wrong. There's things that it could be just a perception. And there's sometimes a hypersensitivity. I love people who are sensitive, but the truth is, we have to observe that. We have to be more of an observer of, like, what is actually happening to us and how to let that go. And what I always tell people, what people do to you has to do with their journey, and they're expressing. And if it was somebody else there, they'd be doing that same thing wrong. So we're going to hold them accountable for every little thing. We're going to be really miserable because you can't keep up with that. So if you don't love a person as a whole and learn to do that, it's going to feel very lonely. So I can keep going, but I want to hand the baton to you, because this is, it's having you on the show. I want to hear your words, please.
Well, I think it all started for me about 8 weeks ago. And I have this thing that, if you're in my space, that it was because you had walked the right walk, you did the right talk, or you weren't in that space. And, my family is a very unforgiving family. And we sort of wore it on our chest like it was a brand. And if you cross the Bowens, then you just have made a drastic mistake. And God, I was sitting here at my desk about 8 weeks ago, and he brought it to me. I had some family members that had bothered me, and I was just cutting them out of my life. It actually was my sister and my daughter. They were being kicked to the side, and God began to show me the devastation that I was creating by holding this mentality and what I had done in the past, and how many relationships that I had stopped or terminated or no longer dealt with because they broke one of my DNA codes. And what God showed me was forgiveness is not a part of your DNA. Forgiveness is about your learned behavior. My daddy did it. My aunts did it. That's what everyone did. I saw it. My children growing up, they saw it. And God showed me my children, the way that I was interacting with them, my way or the highway. There's no room in there. And began to show me the effects that it was having on my grandchildren. And they're going to learn this behavior, and they're going to teach their children. My granddaughter is going to have a little boy in the next few weeks. And God just sort of showed me that I am the cornerstone to my family. And this behavior that, that separated me, I actually made a list of about 10 people that I know that I had infractioned their lives. I called them and I asked them to forgive me. And, one of them was a pastor, so there, so when you're looking at it, I just did my initial sermon as a pastor a few weeks ago. And what God said is that you cannot stand in front of other people and tell them and you are flawed. So I never knew this. And he showed me in that for 68 years that I've been saying the Lord's Prayer, but I didn't hear it. Because there's where we speak about forgiveness is at that place. So, my book, God Forgives, why not you?
Yes. By the way, everyone who's seeing that, this is a great book to have on your shelf. And the reason why I'd say that is that what I love about Jesse is I love the openness. In other words, Christianity is a spoke in the tire, right? It's a belief system that millions follow, and there's Buddhism, and there's Judaism. But this is that book that you can read it just from the forgiveness perspective, and you might get that one little thing in the book that can change everything.
Right.
So I had you on the show is if they can see through your lens, it may help them in that one small way. And a small change in an understanding is that ripple effect. It's a big change. So that's why it's important to read books. So thank you for sharing that book. Now, how do they get that book?
Well, they can go to my website, and that is ministerjessebowen.com. And they can go to Amazon. The book released last week, actually last Friday. It made the Amazon bestseller list, and it made the international bestseller list. But, the book is, because of where I am in my life and, my beliefs. But again, I'm not necessarily a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. And, you have to get on the inside of you. And I don't care what you believe on the external side, but until you can get on the inside. So the book has meditation exercises that you can record. We're releasing the CD today. So you have to get on the inside. That's where forgiveness You have to get on the inside and you have to develop an inner communication. That's why meditation, learning to understand yourself, because that is the problem for a lot of people in holding on to things, is because they don't know how to release and let go. So the book deals with meditation. The book deals with visualization. We have another part of the course. The book is going to get ready to become a course. There's an audio program that's going to be releasing. The meditation program is releasing today, that you can get the meditation part, because you can read the book. And I've had a lot of people from Facebook to leave me notes of how powerful they thought it was. Before we released the book, I was sharing what the book was about with other martial artists and other people. And I came across people that were having issues with their own children they hadn't spoken to in months, and in some cases years, and family members. But they really listened to the message and contacted them. And now this Thanksgiving, they're actually going to be able to sit down and have dinner, or be able to make that Thanksgiving call where they haven't made in years. So that within itself is powerful.
That's really beautiful. And I got to say that I've had family that, close family that were estranged for 12 years, not wanting to talk to me, not wanting to work anything out. And having children, I continue to pursue, because I realized that, look, there's usually things that are wrong on both sides, or even perceptions and belief systems. And interesting that you mentioned earlier, there's that old school mentality that, this old paradigm of parenting of like, you owe me. I did this for you, you owe me. And it destroys relationships, because the new generation is like, I believe in the new generation of sense of, I tell my kids, you don't owe me anything. I put you in this world so you can have your own life. I hope you want to be with me your whole life, but I can't guarantee it, because it's a relationship we have to work at. This is something we both are earning. And these relationships are negotiable. They change all the time. So the assumption that when we create or we co-create, with humanity and with having children, we can't assume that they're coming to us, that we own them in some way. That old paradigm is very destructive, and it's part of why the planet's suffering so much. Is they're saying out with the old, in with the new, and you have party systems fighting with each other. You have cultures fighting with each other, because you need that freedom. But now here's the thing: freedom at any expense is no freedom at all. So I feel also in the same breath that it doesn't mean children are disrespectful to the parents. It doesn't mean that they're telling them what to do. That's not good in my household. Like, it's a mutual respect of love that has to be. And that's the struggle humanity's going through right now. And learning about forgiveness is key. It's like the root. And it's like, even when my family came back to me, like I had close family, we lost contact. No one apologized. No one said sorry. It was more like it was the unsaid word. It was like a mutual understanding of like, we love you, or let's talk. And the actions were the apology. So when people are like, well, you need to say sorry to me. If I don't hear that word sorry, we're not talking. That's control. I don't like the way you said sorry to me. That doesn't sound real. You know what's real is the person being nice to you. Are they trying to make an effort? If they're making an effort to love you or to care in some way, that's the best form of sorry. Don't wait for those words, especially don't wait for those sorry words from an old generation. Nobody's going to say sorry. They're too, the ego gets in the way. So I feel like you got to let that go. If you want to get your parents back, you want to get, friends back, just talk, say, how are you? Because anything they did to you has nothing to do with you. If they really crossed that line, they got issues. Everybody's got something they're struggling with. We're flawed human beings. And as the Bible says, we're sinners, whatever the belief might be. So I feel like that's the power. Once you understand that power of forgiveness, you're always going to be happy. You're never going to be alone, because even if you open your door, I have a close family member, really close, and I send messages out to them. I love you. I don't do it because I'm desperate for their relationship. I do because I let them know that they're still loved, even if they don't want that relationship with me, that I still love them. Because you know what Jesus said? And by the way, my belief in Jesus is like, well, almost like a Jewish person. I got Buddhist beliefs like the meditations and all that, but I love what Jesus said, love your enemy. Love your enemy. So deep. It means that someone who hurt you the most, you should still love them. And the reason why is because collectively humanity is one. And if we're one, we can't hate the enemy to that extent because we're hating on ourselves. And we're going to live. We're going to eat the poison we're giving. So it's best not to. It's like to love, and it's more of like a compassion. It's like I have a compassion to somebody who doesn't know how to come out. So when I give the love, I'm not expecting, they don't have to return my call or return my text message. I just put it out there. I love you, thinking about you. I hope you're well. I miss you. But no guilt, none of that. And that's for myself. So when you forgive like that, it's to be forgiving. This is Thanksgiving, right? This holiday coming up. So yeah, so your book is it's so needed right now. It's so needed in the world. So I highly encourage people to get this book. And like I said, that one little piece of wisdom in that book can change everything.
Well, I really like what you were saying, because it's me letting go. That's the only place I can control, is the me letting go. And I know in my life for the past 8 weeks has been, a relief of just the awareness that of that. And as you said before, it's not really because the other person may not know that you actually there's an issue going on. But I did in my service a few weeks ago, I did a lemon test. And that lemon was that I had as I began the service, I had a bowl of lemons sitting out in front where the congregation could see. And about midway, I had one cut, and I took the lemon and I began to squeeze the juice out. And then I asked everyone to just imagine that lemon, and had them to physically reach their arm out, pick up a lemon half, hold over the head, squeeze the juice into their mouth. Now, they didn't have a lemon. Everyone went through that same motion of picking the lemon up, holding their head up, moving their fingers, squeezing the juice. And they were making all these kinds of faces and moaning and groaning. I said, no. You have to take all of it, all the lemon juice, all of it. And when they put it down, I asked them, said, how did it taste? And they were describing to me how this lemon tastes. It was sour. If you like lemons, it was good. If you don't like lemons, one of my grandsons said that was nasty. I said, the bad news is you don't have a lemon. What you have is an experience that I gave you a set of instructions. You didn't question the instructions. You made the physical action of reaching out, picking up this lemon half, holding it over your head, squeezing the juice, and your mind automatically created a chemical reaction in your body, saliva build, and you go right through that same taste of that lemon. You see, but that's what we do in having an unforgiving spirit. Every time I see you, that same feeling that I had that created this situation recreates itself again. So the question becomes, if we can do that, what is the medical or what is the physical damage we do to ourselves of holding on to these situations that cause our heart rate to pick up? They cause us to be in a stress mode. They cause all these negative feelings, is because that we actually can trigger a chemical reaction in our body. So a lot of times what's going on with someone is what's eating at them, and it's not necessarily a disease, but it's something that we use it long enough and hold on to it long enough, we can change the chemistry of our bodies.
100%. I mean, look, the words of power, and at that self-talk and even our thoughts, it's all one and the same. So it's either toxic thinking, toxic words, or words of love, things that make us feel great inside, right? So that's a whole other show just on that alone. But when I think, like I said, forgiveness, if the power of that is you setting your soul free, and it's a great power. And when we wake up each day, if we're going to think about all those that hurt us, and that's how we want to live, we're living in the past, that creates depression. And if we can release that and say, well, I have no control over that, but I have control of how I choose to feel about it. Do I want to send love and compassion to them, to all those who I feel hate me or angry with me? Do I want to do the opposite? Like, do I want to just give love and put that love out there and do the same for myself? All the things that I've done wrong. I mean, as you know, me having my leadership school, Harmony by Karate in New York for almost 30 years, right? It's all martial arts based. When I deal with people, people will confess things, and people have done some of the worst things. You know, there's no limit to what people do wrong, but what they can do right is they could live their lives a different way moving forward and no longer be what they are angry about in themselves about what they did. Can't change what you did, but you can change moving forward. And you can even go back and give back to humanity by doing the opposite of what you felt you did before. So that's the power people have, and they can heal so much that way. So that's you and I we're this is like beautiful conversation. We're synergetic. So listen, whoever's watching, get the book, and I hope for sure that this interview has made you feel good. Look at that. Look how beautiful. Bring that a little closer to the screen. A little closer. There we go. Look at the colors. God.
That chain is showing that it's a generational part. Breaking the generational change.
Yeah.
Of being in forgiveness, of being an unforgiving person, because just like with me, it was a learned behavior, and of all the things that I've worked on doing good at, I never realized until, again, 8 weeks ago, I realized that I had to look at myself, and you have to look at things from the other person's lens, because what you think and feel is what belongs to you. What they think and feel, it belongs to them. So when you're dealing with situations, then you have to look from the other perspective too. And it's not always that you have to be right, but it's also, looking from that other person's perspective, because they're a human being too, and learn from their side. But the whole thing is, if we could stop and we could forgive someone, how many relationships, marriages could we save? Oh. If we could forgive, how many lives would still be here, where someone now gets angry, goes home and gets a gun, come back and kill someone?
It's what's going over the planet. Yes, the mass shootings, the bullying, all of this. Forgive, that one word alone could transform the whole planet, just so you know, right? That's why it's important that people get on board with learning more about it. I was going to say something. Yeah, you had me going there. The thought will come back, because I'm just so motivated by this conversation. But I interrupt you. Please continue.
No, but and the thing that we spoke about children. In our martial arts schools, children come to us because we are to be leaders. Parents have to be leaders too. And just like I spoke about my learned behavior from my parents of being an unforgiving person, then we have to look at what are we as parents, as leaders. And we have to understand that our children are born, then they do not have our experience of life. So therefore, their ability to make judgment decisions are not there. Judgment decisions are made because of your life experience. And as our children gain these experiences, they are now becoming more qualified to make these decisions. But we really have to, so parents have to teach their children about forgiving. They have to be forgiving themselves. So you have, just like in our martial arts school, a child comes to my door, and they, before they, come into the school, they walk in, and first thing they say, "Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am." And everybody will turn and, "Hey, sir, how you doing? Might be a white belt. How you doing today?" You say, "I'm doing great, sir. Better and better." See, that child just walked into a positive environment. When they walk on the mat, they go, "Yes, I can." When they leave the mat, "Yes, I can." So in the martial arts school, we're talking, and forgiveness. Nobody has a conflict in the dojo. If there is, then they all have to come to my office. We have to sit down and we have to resolve the conflict. No parents, just that student, so that we can move on. And then I have to explain, because I am the leader. So this whole thing about our children, we have to become better leaders ourselves if we want better children. So that's where it really has to start, because children do not have that capability to make decisions about life things, and they will gain those experiences. They'll put them all together, and then that makes that particular person. But the foundation that we do with our children is about leaderships. And again, we've seen that this in the past decade, how destructive and how many killings and how many crazy things are happening. And whether it's in the church or whether it's but we have to. I can only do that's what my book is. I'm doing my part.
Let me say this. The thought came back to me from before, and I'm going to go back to this book. The biggest struggle people are having, like if something happens, let's say you're in a marriage, right? And you have a partner that is extremely abusive, and they are choosing not to change. Not that they can't change, they're choosing not to. It's not a relationship that you should be staying in. And if you leave that relationship of conflict where it's highly abusive and you're being bullied, to forgive them from a distance, we could forgive through our meditations, through our prayers, sending love to that. So we're not in that pain of hating them. We don't want to become where we came from. We don't want to become that energy. That's the one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say to you, Jesse, is that's why Harmony Power is so important in the schools. We have the first mandated anti-bullying program in U.S. history. Why? It's not like all these tools that you use when somebody bullies you. That's being reactive. It's proactive. It's like if your book was in all the schools and that was the mandate, planet changes. Books like that, because it's a positive reinforcement. It's giving them a tool for life. It's given them an understanding on how to deal with conflict. There's no heart-centered learning in schools as a mandate. That's my crusade, personally. That's why you're on my shows. You told me about the book. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to support anything that I feel could change humanity. And that's why people should get the book, because it can impact the world. Books like that, because there's not enough energy in people creating books that truly can have that kind of impact. So those are my final words. Do you have final words, Jesse?
Well, yeah, and you can go to Amazon. I have a author's page there, and like I said, this is book number 32. We have 3 books coming out in January, but a lot of them are personal. Of course, I have my martial arts books, but we have a lot of personal development books there, and those personal development books are, Change Your Mind, Change Your Life Success Guide, The New You Self-Discovery System, Law of Attraction, so goal setting. So you can go to look up my name on Amazon, and there, all my podcasts are there on that page. All my books and things are there. Look in there. We have books on meditation, sports performance, martial arts. So wherever I am and what I'm working on, I write a book on it. Why not?
You're clearly a leader in the industry. I mean, I went to your event in Vegas, and you're a class act. There's no questions about that. So anything you produce is of high quality. That much I do know of you. That's why you've come on my show a second time. So,
Well, I
so
appreciate that, and because I called you because you popped in my mind, and trying to find people that believe and really want to make an impact, and we do. If you're listening to us, Sensei John and I, we are both of the same thing as martial artists, as human beings, with a desire. We all have a purpose, and I have been shown my purpose is, people ask me how you doing, I say better, better, and better, trying to make the world a better place. So until I don't exist anymore, that's what I do. I get up every day and I work on how can I make the world a better place, and helping people to tell their story, write their books, be a part of something that's good, or be in an environment that our authors, the martial artists that are in our environment, we share that. But again, thank you for having me on.
well, I'm going to say this is my last words about you. The world is a better place, Jesse, because you're in it doing what you do. So thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Be blessed.